development, trendy gangs. It was gangs of people that play, do basket weaving and coloring books. If they see a pocket constitution on the campus, they come and cry. And the faculty, there's video of this, take them in and then they cry. Sometimes they even pee-pee on themselves. They wear diapers. I'm not kidding. That's the new thing. And watch. The left prepares for war with new self-defense training club. I thought you could just teach us all to be passive and everything. That would fix everything. That was the big social engineering science we witnessed, where most of the scientists and the astrophysicists and climatologists say it's the sun driving it, and we have these 10,000-year cycles and 100-year cycles and 11-year cycles, and they can predict it with total precision. They know when there's solar flares that hit the Earth, that is the electromagnetic radiation, that's why clear blue skies suddenly have thunderstorms everywhere in a few hours. That's what the Pentagon goes off of for weather for more than 50 years, is sunspots. But they have all these compartmentalized groups that go, no, meteorologist groups, we just say it's all what's on Earth and, what's happening here. And then the UN has a vote 6 years ago to say, we vote and say the sun is not the driver of climate, it's humans. If we didn't have the sun, we'd be absolute zero. There'd be no life. But they go, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Oh, mainstream media is saying, in Venezuela, no one believes that the helicopter attack was real because no one's been arrested, and for 2 hours, no one tried to stop the helicopter shooting and bombing the building. It looks like a false flag. Think so? Shooting, bombing it with hand grenades for 2 hours? No one even fights back? Gee, think it might be a staged event to make the police state look okay? I'm not saying it is. I'm saying that's normal to ask that of a discredited government that's been caught lying more times than Pinocchio ever thought about. More times than Bill Clinton ever thought about. And then the story doesn't add up. Gee, could it be a false flag? I got up early this morning at like 5 a.m. Went back to sleep for about an hour. But I got up about 5 a.m. I don't know why that little factoid matters. And I said, that's a false flag. And then soon enough, I got up later. It's all over the news. False flag. False flag. Fake, stage, no one believes it's real. Conspiracies abound after bizarre Venezuela helicopter incident. That's from Bloomberg. But see, only Bloomberg can question. It's the anointed one. Oh, you can question and say Trump's a liar. You can question this and that and say things aren't real and give out alternative ideas, but no one else can. Only the anointed media, only people at The Nation, propped up by foundation money, can't even pay their own way. Only Eric Alterman with all of his titles. Only he can tell you what's real. Roger Stone is joining us from Eastern Europe. He's been over in Hungary and Romania, where they have national parties taking control through the elections against the SOROS movement, the IMF, the World Bank, the attempts to open their borders to Islamicists. This is huge news, but another big reason he's on with us is because he's been totally vindicated. Scaramucci, the financier, good friends with Stone, a great patriot in the White House, targeted from the beginning as a Russian agent, has filed a $100 million lawsuit. Now that we have total proof that CNN willfully and knowingly tried to frame him and destroy his name and get him thrown in prison. Oh, that jury's not going to like to hear that. They wanted to put him in jail and destroy his self-made fortune, saying he's a Russian agent, knowing it was a lie. These are hardcore patriots in the Trump administration, the ones they're trying to kick out. General Flynn, Scaramucci. Trump rips Amazon's Washington Post as fake news. Trump brands New York Times liars again for writing false story, claiming he doesn't understand the Senate's health bill. He's striking back. CNN faces a $100 million lawsuit over botched Russian story. CNN war with Trump gets personal. New low, CNN uses Sesame Street Elmo to attack Trump's travel ban. They don't know what to do. And then Acosta, the famous liar of CNN, who's always caught doing fake stories but gets rewarded, throws a temper tantrum. That's coming up and says, this isn't America. You're going to conservative media half the time. Oh, my gosh, you don't get the big spotlight only for your little self anymore? But radio and TV networks with more viewers do? That upsets you? You poor little baby. Poor little cuppy cake. The media will do anything to bash Trump, and now they're hurting. That's right. The PP dossier, written up by the Democrats, admittedly to be a fraud. All of it complete lies, just like the stuff about me. Total, whole cloth lies. Did you know my children are with me 80+% of the time? Well, you wouldn't know that reading the newspaper, would you? Because they're liars. It's literal, whole cloth, fantabulous BS. And it's all coming home to roost. Now, I saw this politically 3 weeks ago. I said it on air. I called Stone, and I said, you want to have that celebration? Come to Austin. I didn't want to have a celebration the night of the election. I said, this is the real war starting. They're coming for us. But I can tell you, at my gut level, but also intellectually, Trump has massively turned the corner. Trump is delivering on so many fronts. It's unbelievable. Forget, the taxes are important, but it might take him a year to get that. Healthcare, they're trying to act like that's a defeat, that hasn't got done. Killing TPP, killing the carbon tax, 40+% down on the illegals coming across the border, devolving power back to the states, massive regulation cuts, $3 trillion in the stock market, hundreds and hundreds of billions in new jobs, thousands of companies coming back, the world respecting us again, the highly respected Indian prime minister who's turned India around, hugging Trump on stage. Never does that because they're under Islamic attack. 140 million Hindus have been killed by Muslims in the last 1,000+ years. So this is an epic time. India is the only place in that whole area that held out for the Muslims, folks. 140 million have been killed. They try this brown skin thing. Oh, we don't like Muslims because a lot of them are brown skin. Give me a break, folks. The Indians know. And so this is an incredible time to be alive. Joining us from Europe, I know he's been in Hungary, Romania, you name it, speaking to the presidents and leaders there about the united front against the globalist. Roger Stone, thank you for joining us.
Alex, great to be here. I got to tell you, as I have moved across Budapest and today Bucharest, the number of people who have given me the thumbs up and yelled, Infowars, Infowars, Alex Jones, is stunning. You, my friend, are a very popular man here, and you have a very, very strong following.
I know, and so do you, but that's what I'm saying. We're not bragging. I literally can't walk down the street now anywhere. I can go to South America. I can go to Europe. I can go to Canada. We're being mobbed. And again, it's minorities, it's old people, it's young people, which shows us the polls are fake. Plus, we scientifically know they sample 9 to 15 points more Democrat. So Trump's really at what, 60, 65, not 50 in Gallup?
I think that's about right. I totally agree with your analysis that the president has turned the corner on the mainstream media assault on him and the two-party duopoly attempts to destabilize and delegitimize his presidency. To me, the seminal moment was when he said on Twitter, I don't know if there are tapes of James Comey. Certainly possible that the deep state was taping. They've been taping all over the place. They have been recording people and spying. He's finally, I think, turned the table and recognizes that the FISA court ruling some weeks ago that we learned about that chided the Obama administration for the widespread unconstitutional surveillance of American citizens is the key issue to take down the globalists, is the key issue to provide for the prosecution of Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, and yes, Barack Obama.
And by the way, let me just interrupt you back to you. They have quadrupled down, though. No coverage of CNN and all the firings and all the people resigning. 3 fake Russia stories in 1 week, all of it imploding. Their own top producer on tape admitting it's all made up to push for war with Russia, pushing us towards World War III for ratings. I mean, total criminality here. And you've been totally vindicated. Scaramucci's been totally vindicated. The whole thing's fake. But you turn on CNN today, they are saying your name every 5 minutes, which isn't that big a deal because hardly anybody watches it. But it shows. And they're still saying, well, maybe Stone isn't a criminal after all, but he did meet with Guccifer. All this made-up crap. As a journalist, of course you contacted Guccifer in a public forum. Who didn't? We tried to contact him as well. I mean, we've been beating down Assange's door. I mean, everybody else can have Assange on, but we can't. Again, it's crazy. So their whole witch hunt is imploding. How does the empire strike back? Because they are in full panic, chicken with their head cut off mode right now.
Well, as you know, Alex, I have agreed to testify for the House Intelligence Committee on July 24th. I was tickled to watch a roundtable on CNN in which one congressman, a congressman, by the way, that I have documentation, has been paying his personal living expenses through his congressional campaign, a felony for which I predict he will go to prison, predicted that I would be going to jail in the Russian scandal. This is laughable. The inference that my contact with Guccifer 2.0, which is entirely public, implies collusion with the Russian state is disproved by the timing, the content, and the context of that content.
And they know that.
It happens, and they know that. They knew it when they made the charge. In fact, Congressman Adam Schiff purposely conflated the dates in which I wrote for Breitbart that Guccifer was not a Russian agent and the date that I began an exchange with him on Twitter direct message, which I released entirely and which is benign. But by reversing the dates, willfully reversing the dates, Schiff attempted to create the impression of wrongdoing that did not, in fact.
And now, what do you make of them all backpedaling? What do you make of Dianne Feinstein signing the letter for the criminal investigation of Loretta Lynch? I mean, is this not the house of cards falling as we speak?
Well, and it has taken some mighty pounding by Infowars and others in the alternative media. It has only been a question of when the president would recognize that he had the power to turn the table on his enemies. He tried turning the other cheek. He met with Al Gore. He met with Al Sharpton. He said perhaps Hillary shouldn't be prosecuted. He held out the olive
He invited them to have a seat at the table, but with American prosperity. They made 30+% at Goldman Sachs the first 3 months, and Lloyd Blankfein's response was to try to take out Trump because Blankfein doesn't want the general public to be part of this massive prosperity. He wants it all for himself, and that's their sin.
That's exactly right. The elites want to keep the wealth for themselves. They do not want it to fall into the hands of the American people. Donald Trump is a middle-class American president. He represents the working people of this country, not the Wall Street big shots, not the major financial institutions.
And they're now panicking.
And they just hate it. They just hate it on Wall Street. They hate it.
They've hit us and Trump with everything they've got. As he strengthens, as he gets more hardcore, they vanish like, you know, vampires at daybreak. In your gut, though, how does the empire strike back? I mean, I don't want us to, like the wolf says in Pulp Fiction, start celebrating here too much, but I can see the victory. I can smell it. They have gone into full hysteria mode. They've got brigades of nerds out training for combat now. I mean, they've gone into pure insane asylum because this horrible Trump, you know, wanted them to have a better job and lower taxes.
I think that they have an absolute violent revolution in mind. I have been in Hungary and Romania now meeting with the anti-Soros forces within the democratically elected governments here. And they realize that Soros is a cancer and that he seeks to subvert and overturn the democratically elected governments here through violence. He has spent a fortune planting his people within the government, not only the governments of Hungary and Romania, but let me be very clear, Alex. The U.S. embassies in Budapest and in Bucharest are both completely staffed by George Soros loyalists, people who are doing Soros's bidding.
And they've all got to be removed because they're infiltrators in our country, they're infiltrators in Europe, and they openly are behind the Arab Spring and the Islamic invasion. They have double-crossed us with the radical Muslims. This is high treason. And Hungary and others recognize it, and I salute them. Go ahead.
What's interesting here, of course, is that neither Hungary nor Romania has a substantial Muslim population. This is a real problem.
Because they got overrun about 100 times in the last 1,400 years and barely fought for their lives.
Exactly right. So what has happened here is he is struggling to subvert these democracies. He is definitely in league with the intelligence services here. The intelligence services in both governments are rogue operations, more in line with our CIA than they are with their own government.
They've been exploiting their people just like the deep state here.
Even worse, I think the surveillance, for example, I was briefed on surveillance in Romania today. Lord, half the people in this state are being spied on. Half the people in this country are under surveillance. It's chilling what Soros has in mind. He has to be stopped. These open society institutions that he has set up, which are fronts for terrorism and worse, need to be shut down. He needs to be apprehended, charged, tried, and jailed. That is the answer, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And again, folks, imagine being in Ukraine or Egypt and they overthrow the government and start blowing up the churches and murdering everybody. In the case of the Arab Spring and in the case of what happened in Ukraine, I mean, this is psychotic behavior. And it's the arrogance of Soros. How has he gotten away with this for so long?
It's really extraordinary. Initially, in these in these Eastern European countries, he was viewed as a benefactor. It's extraordinary the number of people in government whose college educations he has paid for, not realizing that in return for their scholarships, they're preparing to give up their freedoms, that he plans a totalitarian state here. This guy is potentially worse than anything Adolf Hitler or Joseph Stalin ever even dreamed
Well, he
about.
said that in the 80s. He said, I believe I am the Messiah, but I didn't want to tell people that until I become the Messiah or they might lock me up. That's a quote. He believes he is the Messiah.
This guy is a common criminal who, as you know, beat his girlfriend in New York City very badly, but faced no charges as a common citizen would. It's just breathtaking, the extent to which he is seeking to undermine these governments, the extent to which he is...
Why doesn't the president really take the gloves off and criminally move against Soros right now?
Well, I believe that the president of Romania put that on the table when he met with the president last week. I believe that they are beginning to understand the grave threat that Soros poses, not only in the United States, but abroad, and why the president has not yet directed Jeff Sessions to move aggressively against George Soros is a mystery to me.
And by the way, this isn't a U.S. citizen issue. He's a multinational global crime kingpin. They should use the army on him and his cohorts. I'm serious. I mean, I would cheer the helicopters going in there. And, you know, just to have him jump to all these different points, always amazing having him on. You can feel the energy. You can feel the victory. I haven't even gotten to the powerful press conferences and the White House Deputy Press Secretary annihilating them with the James O'Keefe video and saying, go watch the footage. Because that news had been out for a day. But mainstream media was ignoring it. But you see, now we have an ally in the president, and so they force it. Now it's all over the news. They don't know what to do. And again, we already have in the aggregate more viewers and listeners than they do, but the embarrassment of them refusing to cover it, and then the control freaks seeing the president expose it and saying, go to Project Veritas, look at this, see the raw footage. They don't know what to do. Roger Stone, can you speak to that and what I believe is the death of CNN? This is amazing. Just like they banned you for a year from CNN, your name even being said, basically. Now you're all over CNN. It just shows what failures they are.
You're absolutely right. You see, the president has the bully pulpit, and he can direct American attention any place he cares to. In this case, he showed them the very fine work of our mutual friend, James O'Keefe, at Project Veritas. And O'Keefe nailed CNN. I say it again. CNN is not a news organization. It's a propaganda front. It's a mouthpiece for John Podesta and worse. And they were so deeply invested in Hillary's election. Wolf Blitzer, the man, he can't sleep. He can't eat. He's literally falling apart in public. He is grinding his teeth over the success of Donald Trump in terms of turning this country around. From top to bottom, the place is a disaster. Now, if I were the president, now is the ideal time to pull their White House press credentials. They're not a news organization. They don't qualify. That's my view.
Exactly. Do the bold stroke, ban them, and then every time they get caught, maybe suspend them for a month until they pledge to be a real news organization again. Absolutely. Okay, Roger, I know you've got to get back to work. Again, we've got to get your contract done here. We've both been too busy, but I'm getting that thing signed this week. We're going to have you full-time.
Well, I'm very excited about coming on for my new show at Infowars after July 1st. We're going to take it to a whole new level.
This will be a day long remembered. We're going to see the end of the globalists. We're going to see the end of George Soros. Roger Stone, in 60 seconds, any other tidbits?
Alex, I think the president is really hit his stride here. And I am told that he is upbeat, that he is confident, that he is ebullient. And I know he appreciates what's being reported here at Infowars. So I salute you. And again, I tell your listeners, our listeners, victory or death.
That's right, to quote Colonel Travis. That's what's amazing, though. Like you said, he's a counterpuncher. He plays nice. They pushed him, and now he's just dominating. Talk about luck. Talk about gravitas. Talk about the touch. Trump's got it. Roger, thank you so much.
Great to be here, Alex.
All right, there goes Roger Stone of Infowars. He's going to be doing a show here 5 days a week with us, co-hosting it with Owen Schroyer at night. David Knight's going to be on a couple hours. I got to work with Ted, syndicate that, work with those folks.